Hello everybody and welcome to Happy Souls. I'm Jacinta Ackerman. So have you ever been in a hard time in your life and just not really knowing how to get out? Well, that was me for many years. I used to drink a lot, I used to party a lot, I was single for 7 years. Now the purpose of this channel is to bring you the people at their tipping point to when they started living life more wholeheartedly. There's some beautiful souls in this world that we want to bring to you and hopefully inspire you on your journey. Now we have a really special interview for you today. It is with Jeremy Carne. Jeremy Carne is a producer. He's produced the Hamish Andy show, Russell Brand, and quite a few others. He's got his own podcast called Jez Carne. If you haven't listened to it, you absolutely must. His story is incredible. His upbringing is, well, it's very different. So, welcome Jeremy Carne to Happy Souls. And welcome to Happy Souls. Today we have a wonderful man, Jeremy Carne. Now he has his own podcast that if you have not listened to his podcast, you have to listen to his podcast. Probably my favourite episode is actually with Ashley Hart.
It was a good one.
What's your favourite?
Probably that one too, actually.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful conversation. She's got a massive heart and she just like shares it all and is beautifully vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, we want to know all about Jeremy today. We want to know all about your story because you have done some phenomenal things in your life and we want to know how you got there and what your tipping point was because you're very spiritual and very open about it these days. And it's beautiful. You're inspiring so many beautiful people in the world to open themselves up. So we just want to hear all about you.
Nice. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, I mean, I grew up in a Christian household, so I was pretty much familiar with spiritual connection from a young age. I was born into that kind of environment, and then when I was 24, I left it because I just wanted to get a wider, more objective view of what spirit was, or what God was, or what this kind of supreme intelligence of the universe was. That kind of transcended all the religions, or was a common golden thread through all the spiritual teachings. And so that was my conviction of leaving. It was kind of catalyzed by being in America and meeting this beautiful woman that kind of represented living herself, her own way without guilt. And I always felt guilty for doing anything that was selfish. So that kind of...
Self-love, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Self-exploration, self-love, learning, really understanding and accepting myself. It was always dealt with much of a... that's bad, that part of me is bad. So I felt very split personality for a lot of my life in that church because there was this bad aspect to me, or this dark aspect, which in fact isn't dark at all. It's just... It's
called human being.
Yeah, it's just another aspect, and there's beautiful reason for it being there, and it teaches you much as well when you explore it. So I just essentially had the conviction I wanted to get burnt and know what it's like to feel pain. And that pretty much took me to the place of wanting to kill myself. And then kind of having this kind of grace from divine intervention and whatnot that kind of pulled me, said you've had enough now, and kind of pulled me out. And then that was like a year-long process of meditating every day and eating really well. And then I started to have these really kind of psychedelic experiences just by meditating. So I think I've opened up my vessel over the years a lot for spirit to flow through because I've always felt very playful and free. But the last 9 years since leaving the church has been very much a self-exploration and
healing.
And
journey,
healing,
huh?
a massive healing journey, and it's continuing right now. Yeah.
And what sort of meditation do you do?
A Vedic meditation, you would call it, but it's essentially just using a simple little mantra to transcend. So you just use a little sound, as you know, to sink down into an experience in the beingness of what I am.
And so where did you learn that?
Through my friend Johnny Pollard.
Oh, beautiful Johnny Pollard, who just has that gorgeous book that's The Golden Sequence.
Gotta get it.
Gotta get that book.
It's got a very important, the Golden Sequence itself is about surrendering and letting go. So it's basically about self-healing and how quickly it can happen.
Yeah.
If you, instead of resist the pain, treat it as you treat laughter, the emotion of laughter, the emotion of rejection. Treat it with the same awareness and it will pass through you just as quick as laughter does.
Yeah.
But we reject it, we put it in a corner like a little child that wants to just be felt, and we just say, no. I was going to use a swear word. Can we swear on this?
We can swear a little bit, it's fine.
I try not to.
I've heard you swear on your podcast.
I don't mind if I do.
So tell us a little bit more about you. So you started with religion, you moved out of that, you're like, no, sorry, not for me.
Yeah.
And then you've moved on. So then what else have you done in your life? So you're a producer.
Yeah.
And so...
Mainly producer. I like making people smile or laugh because I like laughing. And I feel like once you soften the anatomy, you feel amazing. And also, it was just a conviction from when I was a kid. I always just like making people laugh.
I love that.
But facilitating it more in more recent years through people that I produce. And cut it, mostly video. So my 10,000 hours, the majority of my time working on my craft is editing video.
Wow.
So I've worked with like Hamish Andy, Russell Brand, Tesla, and most.
With Russell Brand.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's a nice experience.
Yeah, right.
And just a bunch of people that I think are doing great things, either making people happy or giving them insight or changing the world for the better. So yeah, that's what I like doing, is producing content and facilitating. My feeling is the quickest way we can awaken the most amount of people to the intelligence of love within them is through videos. That's only because, which is this, only because it's like that's where the screens are the fires of the now. You know, like when we used to sit around fires and talk about storytelling and pass on information. Screens are basically like that fire now, but it's got this like virus of ignorance just rifling through it. Like it's just nature's doing its thing, and it's absolutely perfect and exactly what should be happening. But I feel like there's a beautiful opportunity for when everyone's awareness is on that to give them soften their anatomy through laughter, and then give them some insight. I think that's a fun combination.
It is a fun combination, and from that you've started your own podcast.
Yes.
Why did you start that? What was your why?
Well, I've been podcasting for about 16 years. Like I was just doing different ones. I started a punk one back in the UK. And
they're all your own?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. But this is, so I always change them, that's the only thing. So I haven't really done the Joe Rogan. He's only been doing it for 10 years, but like he's just did the same one. I've done about 15 different types of ones. So I do, unfortunately, not to say that I could have built an audience like you. Yeah.
That's all the right time.
Just as well, I would have been a terrible speaker back then. Like
Joe Rogan, I've actually heard that he's like the Oprah for men.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Everyone's obsessed with him.
He's like my dad. He feels like what I want my dad to be.
Yeah.
And I love my dad as he is, but if I had a choice. Rogan is just so insightful, so knowledgeable, so wise.
So tell us more about your podcast. What's it called?
Yes, my podcast is just my name, Jeremy Carne.
Yeah.
And it's essentially about fun, fearless, fulfilling conversations exploring universal truths. So I just like holding a space for someone to explore more of what they are, or whatever of what they are they want to share, but in a playful kind of light way. Well, that's the intention. It's not always light. It gets pretty heavy and intense sometimes, but that's
amazing.
That's nice though.
Yeah. You really are making a big difference, and it's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Now, so producing has been your life. What do you do for yourself? Like what sort of things? Like, so you meditate every day. What's your kind of self-love practice that you do every day?
Get in nature. At the moment, for the last 3 weeks, I've been very strict with getting up at 5 o'clock, going to the beach by 5:20, and going for a run, doing push-ups, just exercising and getting fit. And then I go for a swim. Then I come home and meditate, or have shower, then meditate. Then I buy really healthy organic whole foods, and I'm eating like a king at the moment, because that's something that I really need to do in order to optimize my body and not snack and not have sugary stuff. So just get my body functioning well. And then in late afternoon, I usually have a second meditation. Again, eat really good lunches and really good dinners. And they're my main practices, really. I do a few other different techniques, like apart from meditation, play with energy. Sometimes I just explore giving people that I love light and thinking about them. Be grateful for what I've got, just in my own mind. And there's lots of different Vedic techniques like the siddhis that I'm playing with at the moment.
I haven't done that, but I want to.
Yeah, they're powerful. They work. They're just using these sounds essentially to bring out different good qualities within yourself. So yeah, and mantra based. I was chanting mantras last night with my friend Dan Tucker, who does a really good podcast called Spiritual Trading.
Oh yes, I know him. He's wonderful, isn't he?
He's a beautiful man.
Yeah.
And we were just chanting some mantras last night for like 20 minutes, and it feels great. Like something about it. Obviously, it does something, but it feels like it's making you lighter, more centered. It's vibrating your heart. Like the sounds, the particular one we did had resonance on the heart frequency, so it was literally going, feeling like this is happening. So shit like that.
It's amazing though. Like we all have our different self-love practices in some sort of capacity. You know, whether we don't need to do too many things. That's the thing. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make. Is they're like, oh no, I have to do this and I have to be rigid with it every single day. If you just have practices like meditation and
be fluid with them, be like pick them up, drop them, miss one, who cares? Like just experiment and fuck it up so you can realize that you do actually need it. And my biggest self-love practice at the moment is probably feeling my emotions instead of resisting them. So that whole inner child stuff, like if I'm feeling anxious, just sitting with that feeling, sitting into it, surrendering into it, kind of the golden sequence which Johnny Paul talks about in that book we mentioned, which is surrendering, accepting, feeling it, then you connect and respond. And that's the 5-step program, but the first 3 are the most significant in my eyes. The surrendering, accepting, and then just feeling it. And what does it want to do? It just wants to be heard. It just wants to be felt.
But rather than reacting, because I think that's what we do as humans, is like, if we have a reaction to something straight away, it's like something negative straight up. That's why he's so brilliant, isn't it? He's good.
It's insane how messed up that is, because it's literally like a little 3-year-old child, because I do a lot of inner child work with this stuff as well, because it's the best image to parent your pain or your emotion. So it's like my 3-year-old child walks into the room and he's upset because someone hurt him, which someone did, and I go, I don't want to feel you right now, get out of the room. It's literally as black and white as that. If we saw someone treating a child like that, we wouldn't tolerate it, but we treat ourselves like that all the time. It's bonkers. It's bonkers, and it's madness because it's going on inside us invisibly all the time. So that's the thing. Mental wellness is the most misunderstood, unexplored thing, because there's no arms that show the structure of it. There's no materialization of it. So it's completely bewildering for so many people and not explored.
And not accepted. You can't just say, oh, sorry, I'm having a mental illness day. Like, they'll be like, well, what do you mean? Like, what is that? Whereas if you said, well, I'm sick, that's accepted. It's starting to be a little bit more now, but not totally.
Yeah.
Now, you just went away to Byron for 3 weeks.
Yes.
With Charlie Goldsmith.
Yes.
You guys are doing things together. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. It's a program called My Good Habits, which is Charlie's good habits. Essentially 4 main pillars to them that we're given knowledge about in the program, and people can jump on board, is feeling it to heal it, so that kind of emotional work that I was mentioning. Meditation, which is what I'll be teaching, twice daily meditations for the whole of January. So,
and are they live meditations?
Live meditations, yeah. So 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. every day. We'll be jumping on and guiding you into meditation and teaching you how to do it yourself. Then there's eating super good organic whole foods, or just learning to cook decent food if you can't afford organic. And then...
And that's focusing a lot on gut health, isn't it?
All about gut biome, yeah, which is, as you know, critical, isn't it?
Well, I've just studied integrative nutrition for the last 12 months, so that gut health is so important.
It's again,
so important.
There's 1 human cell for every 9 bacteria cells inside our anatomy. Even though human cells are much bigger than the bacteria cells, but still, we're more bacteria than we are, and so when we feed that biome and get it happy. Like a guy that was on the program had Crohn's disease, chronic symptoms, within 4 days of us, all these pillars, he no symptoms whatsoever.
Wow.
So he used to go to the toilet 10 times a day, come back to 2 days, within like 4 or 5 days.
Just from healing the gut?
From getting your gut bacteria in harmony with itself. It takes a few days of like raging a bit, because if you cut out the sugar bacteria is like, fuck. And so, anyway, the 4th pillar was getting in nature and moving. So those 4 pillars is kind of the part of the program, and Charlie's, I can't speak good enough of him. Like he's an incredible talent, and he's just totally convicted and really cares about helping people. And the powerful thing about this is that he's got this great ability to literally heal people, and I've experienced it 4 or 5 times now, and it's undeniably working. It's incredible. Like the sensation it passes through you. But the powerful thing about this is that we're teaching people how, or he is specifically teaching people how to heal themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because we can heal ourselves. Like Louise Hay said it such a long time ago. Heal yourself,
And it's much easier than we think. You just need to be ready and willing to do it. And that often, like you said at the beginning, that takes a kind of a critical point, doesn't it? Sometimes of absolute chronic depression or something or other, that to wake up to the fact that shit, I've got a chance to live right now and exist and breathe and walk around in this miraculous experience of life. There's so much conditioning that we absorb on our anatomy that we often just walk around like this. But once you remove those conditionings, I've found that just my conviction at the moment is just like present moment awareness, because my intellect is it tricks me, and it can be cunning, and it often lies to me. It's bonkers how fucked up your ego is.
Absolutely, and people don't realise it. You're like, no, I'm winning at life, I'm winning, and you're like, actually, you're not. Yeah. Well, you're being an asshole.
It's amazing how much you can play puppet, and you're convinced that you're doing the right thing.
Now, you spent 3 weeks in Byron. What was that like?
Oh, heaven. The vortex of energy there. Apparently the Indigenous Australians didn't actually live in Byron itself. They just lived in the satellite towns around.
I've heard that.
And then they go down there to give birth or to trade or to do sacred, important things. And that's why it's got this kind of disgruntled weirdness about it now, because I think it's something to do with the ecosystems. It's a vibrant of life because the rivers and the edge of the eastern tip of Australia, all this kind of stuff going on. I'm sure there's some science around it, but point is it's got that energy, and just being that, going to that every morning, fed you. It just fed your whole soul. It was my favourite part of the day, going for a run on the beach every morning, and it's just...
It's a life, huh?
It's just, it's luscious.
Yeah.
Air smells great, like even in this urban environment.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
No, it's not. It's just different, isn't it? It's just different.
It's different, but ain't that fresh vibe. Man, I want those trees.
Are you trying to sniff nature?
Yeah, I love sniffing nature.
So, I mean, I have actually heard that Byron's the type of place that you need to go in and out.
Right.
Like you shouldn't live
a bit like
there.
India.
Yeah, you should need to go in, get what you need, and then out again. For that exact reason that you were just talking about.
That's interesting, because I want to move there.
Yeah, but you've got to move away, like not Byron as a whole,
just
out in the outskirts that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I live there, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Have you spent much time there?
No, I'm gone for 10 years, but it's on my to-do list.
Obviously you'd love it. It's just beautiful. You really feel it in the air, and you just feel calmer. I think there's definitely a lot to do with the collective consciousness state in a space. Like it's the same thing that you get in New York or something. It's just this vibration. I can almost see it in people's heads. And I know this is just perspective thing, maybe because my head does the same thing, and so it exasperates the intellect in me being in the city, because I see everyone stimulating on coffee, doing as much as they can. It's insane. Our culture's insane, and we think it's completely fine. It bewilders me how people are like, that's fine. Yeah, just get fuck-faced on the weekend, back to the job I hate.
Living a life I can't stand.
It doesn't make any sense even to a logical mind, but because it's just been an echo chamber of our reality, we think it's everything, and we think it's norm, and we think it's okay, and we think we're fine. But there's so much dissonance going on in our intellect, in our mind, just our mind, we're not connected to that beingness of what we are, which is the baseline of our existence. We're not connected, we're not tapping into it. And that's why meditation is so powerful in this particular being practice that I'll be teaching on this program. Sign up, or Vedic meditation, or Johnny Pollard, or whatever. And the more you experience your beingness, the more you integrate that beingness into what you are. Walking around, like you fall in love with truth. Like I've had acid-like experiences looking at leaves, purely from meditating for like 4 hours. Come out and I'm just like, holy fuck! And I can sometimes see through my hands, like you can when you're on acid. You're like, oh my god, I can see it. Like they're almost a bit translucent now because I'm a bit trippy. I can see the ligaments. And I haven't done any medicine.
Yeah, haven't done any plant medicine.
No.
Plant medicine's all right. There's nothing wrong with
plant
medicine.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's very
it can be good, but only when you call to it, and try to do it in a legal environment.
Yes.
Like, just go out to ocean.
Go swim in the ocean for about 2 hours and then get the same effects.
It's terrible. Don't do that. That's how we kill people. That's not going to happen. Don't do that.
No, it's not. Definitely not. So is there anything, so the program starts on the 1st of January and it's till the 30th of January. So every day you have live meditations.
Yeah, and lots of new videos
shows.
every day, yeah.
Yep. And Charlie, so he's teaching people how to heal themselves.
Yeah.
Carne does the
food.
The food.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that happens in there?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of lectures about this energy work, and we're doing it with the people in the house with their different issues like negative self-talk, smoking addiction, Crohn's disease, hyper-anxiety, and we go through these things with Charlie facilitating them, feeling it to heal it, and talking them through the technique and lots of different ways, so you really drill at home as to what this technique does and how it works. Then plenty of meal things. It's mostly about freestyle and food, so just getting really healthy food, do your own research, but giving people some great ideas of tasty meals that they can do that are really, really good for you, and that mostly get your gut bacteria in a good spot.
Crazy.
And Charlie's story is fascinating because he went mentally off because he had gluten, and as soon as he took gluten out, depression disappeared, and it was an amazing transformation about the mind-gut war, whatever they call it. So it's so linked, and it's almost insane to say that it's not.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And once you go one way, you actually can't go back the other way. It doesn't work for you. Like now it's Christmas, I'm starting to have a little bit more sugar, whatever. Once a year, I always go, eat whatever you want, and I feel the effects badly. Like I'm exhausted, I don't sleep properly. It's not good. It's just not good.
You feel it, you get fatigued, don't you, and you need a nap.
You need a nap,
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, same with stimulants and coffee and stuff. I feel like with the more you eat really well and you're conscious of it, the more you kind of just get this kind of good level rather than stimulate, crash. And
it's like the bulletproof coffee that has butter in it, so it actually, it levels it out.
Yeah, which is good.
Do you drink coffee?
Not anymore, no. I haven't for about 4 weeks, but I used to, yeah.
And do you drink alcohol?
No.
No. Have you never?
Once in a while. I also like no rules with this. Yeah, I used to drink alcohol.
I agree with that.
And I'm vegetarian, but sometimes I've been eating fish more recently. I don't like the idea of eating fish, particularly with how we're treating the oceans and where it's going.
It's all farmed, especially salmon.
Yeah, well, this was wild caught salmon, but we still, even then, I don't like the idea of it. But I am also on a mission.
Plastics in the water now.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Magnesium and all sorts of.
That's a whole different conversation,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
So we're scared of that, and but anyway, the point is, I try to eat as well as I can, and that sometimes means breaking some rules because I want to really optimize this anatomy so I can function better. But that's obviously within a vegetarian diet, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, amazing. So how do people sign up for the program?
You go to charliegoldsmith.com.
Yep.
And /mygoodhabits.
Yep.
You could also find the link on my Instagram profile, which is just @JezCarne. It's the link there. You just click that.
Yeah, amazing. And that starts on the 1st of Jan.
Yes,
that's News resolutions. What a perfect time to
start.
Huh?
Yeah. I think it will help a lot of people.
Yeah.
The people that we did it with, the 3 people, had significant change. Like you notice that after just 5 to 10 days, massive transformation, and just in the way they felt, the way their mind worked, and more distance from their thinking, which the meditation's really good for because it gives you the witnessing of your thoughts rather than the immersion in your thoughts. So it changes your relationship to them so that you can have perspective about what they're doing, where they came from. Wait a minute, they're not even mine. They just, and that's my biggest revelation when after I was depressed, I was like, wait a minute, that thought came into my head without me even asking it to. That's so rude.
Where did it come from? Yeah, exactly. Get out. Yeah.
So rude.
Yeah. Yeah, but did you invite it in or did you close the door?
I said, thanks for your opinion. On your way.
I see ya.
Yeah. And then more, because you've got these impressions. If you don't process emotion, you've basically got X amount, which can be a tremendous amount of emotion that needs to be processed. That's why when you do like a big trip, like if you did ayahuasca or something, you process all this stress release. It would just come through, all these feelings that needed to be felt that you haven't felt, and it's quite traumatic. But we also just want to be doing it constantly, always feeling it.
And that's why meditation's important. What are 3 things that you think people can do for their health and for for themselves every day?
Oh,
If they could just start with 3.
beautiful. I'd meditate twice a day, non-negotiable for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
A being-based meditation, so a particular technique, not just a focused one, because that operates this part of the mind. We want to get connected with the deepest part of our mind.
Yeah, it's the apps that are great. They're amazing, and people should definitely be doing those sort of things beforehand. But it is like, especially Vedic meditation, it's definitely a deeper level.
We want to transcend. We want to transcend our thinking and get and establish a connection with baseline, fundamental of what we are. In quantum physics, they call it the unified field, I think. In Taoism, they call it the nothingness. I think in Vedism, they call it the everythingness. It's just that the absolute. And if we experience that connection to the absolute consciousness of everything, then we feel pretty good. Like it gives you immense perspective, immense wisdom, immense bliss, and the more we can integrate that into our anatomy and our living puppet state, the better. So meditation first and foremost, and then the second thing would be prioritizing spending money on food more than anything else that you spend money on.
Yeah, and that's like a self-love practice in itself. Like everyone's like, oh, but I don't have the money for organic. But then you've got, $400 to go drink on a weekend? You have the money. Yeah.
And you've got to be ready for that change. But yeah, you're right, the money's there for some. And then the third thing would just be this feeling thing, always checking in with yourself and being self-aware. I think I was an ambassador recently for Victoria Against Violence campaign, which is basically treating women in particular with a less than attitude, or what is it? It's just being a dickhead, basically. And I think it's all to do with men's lack of understanding of self.
Absolutely.
And I think the 99% of the world's problems are because of daddy issues.
True. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think men. There's a big waking up of what men's need to process their pain. Men needing to understand themselves. There's just a lot. Men are growing up right now, and they're sometimes 60-year-olds doing it. So I think it's the best we can facilitate that and encourage men to do that, the better, I think, as well.
So women are starting to be more in tune with themselves, but we just, a lot of men are still now, a lot more men are doing yoga and things now, which is brilliant. But yeah, they do need to go on a deeper level, absolutely. And what's your third thing?
Oh, so it would be that. It would be meditation, food, and then feeling it to heal it. So that in the men's situation that I said, then just really exploring yourself more. And questioning why it is that you're doing what you're doing.
And how do they do that?
Meditating. Finding a friend that or a person, male or female, that you can talk to, who you can trust and confide in, and just start sharing.
And a healer, huh?
Healers.
We recently interviewed Tommy Keddy, who brilliant man. He's a healer.
Awesome.
He was a rock star, and he's somebody that would relate to men because he's not like your woo-woo, spiritual God. He's just a normal guy. Or Charlie Goldsmith, he's the same.
Very good. Yeah, it's hard to get healers to heal you because it's fine. It's hard to find them, the ones, because most of them don't practice well, they're not that I know. I feel like they're a bit. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit of an underground thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's people like Charlie Goldsmith that are coming out, and yourself with your podcast and things that are making it more relevant for people to go, you know what? I've got these abilities. I want to use them, and I want to come out, and I want to do it in public now. So that's why it's so brilliant. People like them, and yourself.
And it's a tangible thing. Like the times that I've got healed. It's very tangible what's going on. I'll give you the example of when I was at an anxiety. I had an immense anxious fog in my chest and in my mind, and I was in bed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was really upset, and Charlie just sat with me for 30 seconds and essentially said he will help. And then what it felt like is my anatomy was getting remote controlled. So I felt like he was demonstrating what I need to do to myself to self-heal, which is shift this fog and move it out from my chest and shift it out of my mind. But it felt like a very tangible sense of, like a physical sensation that was in my chest that was moving out. And I felt, at first it was like the pain, I feel so sad, I'm into it. And then it kind of went. So this kind of like field of cloud, if I'd said, inside my chest specifically, it kind of went denser and denser, then it released, and then kind of came to the edges of my chest, and in the middle was just like my heart, which it was just like a glowing white orb. It was just like pissing out light in every direction. And that's what I didn't feel like. I've never really had that vision of what my heart looked like before until that moment.
Wow, that's really beautiful. And Charlie was able to do that?
Yeah.
No, actually, you were able to do that for yourself.
I'm not sure of the exact structure of what happened. How much I felt like he did it. I've since done it myself in a fairly similar way, not as potent as what he did, but I'm learning to do it more. But when he did it, it felt psychedelic.
Wow.
It felt like I was just lying back and just it was moving without and I completely trusted it. It's a phenomenal thing. It's literally like someone's consciousness is going into your consciousness and moving it around, telling your brain, this is how you let go of things.
Wow.
This is how I'm doing it, and I'm doing it now. It's going. And then my anatomy is experiencing that. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, I can see that moving. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And you do, it's weird as anything, but it's so real. Yeah. It's peculiar. And he didn't even say specifically what he was going to do. I described what just happened, and it was exactly what he intended. Well, he did. He doesn't even intend. He just does. It's another powerful thing I think about Charlie it's just like, all right, I'll work on you. Done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Because he just went into it, did it.
I'm sorry, what?
It's happened. Yeah.
Yeah, what? You did what? Yeah, what did you do? Yeah. Amazing.
It's hard to explain, and hopefully there'll be science around it soon. But it's like meditation. There was no science around that for the longest period of time, and now there's science around it, and it's energy working in a way too, because it's de-exciting the nervous system. It's invisible energy that we're dealing with in our mind, and you're transforming. And now where they can measure that in brainwave activity and whatnot, and it's the same shit. It's healing is not far behind, and it's even more potent. It's crazy. It's crazy how it can work.
And I just can't wait for the day where it becomes more and more mainstream. Like, obviously, kinesiologists and Reiki and things, they are becoming a lot more mainstream than they used to be. But, think about in 10 years where this is normal. Like, to be a healer is normal. It's amazing.
Yeah, it will have to happen.
Yeah.
It will have to happen. The biggest threats to it happening are the pharmaceutical industries and stuff that are banging on about needing...
have money for their marketing. Yeah.
So you can see, and there's, like, you look at the history of humanity as well, like, I think it's estimated about 18 million spiritual workers a few hundred years ago were just killed, like the whole burning the witch thing. Wow. There's a huge estimation at how many, it might have been more than a few hundred years ago, I'm not exactly sure, but the latest estimation was it was about 18 million people that were spiritual workers, healers, worked with alchemy, that were all killed by the church, which is a huge genocide.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And so that's in the collective state of consciousness. That's why the healers now are so fearful, and that's why I see someone like Charlie so brave to step into to people that are ridiculing him, absolutely ridiculing him. Like even Andrew Denton tried his best to just tear shreds off him.
Did he?
And Charlie was just so calm. But it's a necessary part of nature to question and throw fire at something, particularly if you're coming into the public forum. I think it's just nature doing its thing. But I find it interesting that how Charlie just navigated it so eloquently and calmly and pragmatically.
With no reaction.
No reaction, and it left Denton look like a frazzled pickle.
I'm going to go watch that. Right now. Yeah, can't wait to see that one.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, you're amazing. The sun's come out. It's just beautiful out here today. It's you're doing amazing things. I love your podcast. I think it's awesome. I'd run my little puppy around and listen to it all the time. It's great. You always have these phenomenal speakers on. What you're doing with Charlie in January is incredible, like healing your gut and doing meditation and teaching people to heal. Like, you guys have really just stepped up, and you're just like, this is who we are and this is what we're doing. And it's exactly what you said. It's really brave, but it's exactly what people need to hear. So you're doing amazing things. We adore you, everything that you're doing. If you want to see more people like Jez, please subscribe, because we have so many more to bring you. There's incredible people making differences in the world, and we just want to bring them to you as often as possible. So give me a hug.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was wonderful. See you later, guys. Happy souls.